What's up, y'all? It's Ty in this video. Today, we're going to be talking about the updated auction house in College Football 25 Ultimate Team, where it's at, what you guys should be looking at today in the game, as well as I do want to mention this for us today, season tokens, or not tokens, but season trophies. If you don't want any of these guys, use them for coins, and honestly, it's what I would recommend doing. So if you have any extra trophies, they don't carry over for a season, and here you can exchange them basically for 500 coins or more. It's just basically a coin quick sale item that you can exchange for 10 trophies each. And if you get the bare minimum, which let's say that would be 500 coins out of each and every one of these things, if you get the bare minimum, you're still looking, it's not going to be a ton of coins, but you're still looking at a decent amount of coins. Like, again, you're looking at 500 coins per 10 trophies. If you have 500 of them, you could end up getting a decent amount of coins with this. So, again, it is something that I do think is worth your time to go and do, because if you don't use your trophies, they're going to turn into basically, nothing. I mean, they're going to quick sell for less than this is worth. So definitely, if you're not going to use your trophies on what you want, or your coins or trophies on what you want to use them for, but if you're not going to do anything, use them on these coins, and you're going to make at least, 20, 30,000 coins off of that at the bare minimum. Now, one thing I want to talk about with the market today, there are so many solid stories of the week players. Now, I want to start with this card right here, because last night, I was able to sell this card for like 180. And it's crazy considering, now he's like 100,000 coins. But that's Devin Neal, who I think is an absolute stud of a card on this game. Now 100,000 coins. Last night, 170. One of your better running backs in the game. Now, why did he go down so much? Well, number one, we got Cam Skattebo. Number two, there's just a lot of other options at that running back position at this current time in the game. But that's where I wanted to start, because I like Devin Neal. I think he's a great pickup if you are in need of a running back. That isn't going to be insanely expensive. Jackson Meeks did get way cheaper today. I don't necessarily love the card, but he did get way cheaper today. As far as Rutledge, Michael Gonzalez, they're going to be basically at their bare minimums as far as in the auction house today. Lenore Sellers, it's not a ton of him up. Probably will go down slightly today. Now, as far as defensively, Christian Gray going to lose a lot of value. I don't necessarily love the card, though. TJ Parker is his bare minimum. I like him. But as far as the rest of these cards, I'm not really a fan of a lot of the defensive stories of the week players that aren't necessarily, super cheap. Now, as far as these cards, I like Jermod McCoy for 30,000 coins. I think he is a really solid value for his price. As far as K'Mon Rucker, you can definitely pick him up at the right end position. But all of these cards, even this center, lost some value today. And honestly, I don't mind most of them. Most of them, I think, can play at a really, really solid level. Now, as far as the overall market, right, we're going to see a lot of these Season 3 cards once again drop a little bit. So if you want Isaiah Bond, he's as cheap as he can get, at least right now, until the next, market update comes. As far as Danny Stutzman, I still think he's the best middle linebacker in the game, and he is not insanely expensive. Now, I've been holding off on Stutzman just because I've known his price could maybe get cheaper, but it doesn't seem like the market is going to get cheaper this week. So you're probably safe if you do want to get Danny Stutzman until at least the middle of next week. Now, as far as some of the other cards, you're going to notice Power Echo is probably going to start going up in price. I'm interested to see what Harold Fannon's price ends up doing. This is one I see for $350, and it seems like that's about the price he's going for. But I just feel like, and again, I've said this in past videos, we've now just got so many options at each and every specific position that it makes it tough for these cards to hold a lot of value. And so even like a Power Echoes, I know a lot of people love him, hence his price, but I feel like we've got enough middle linebackers in the game that it's tough for his price to stay as super, super, super high. It's the same thing at the running back position with a guy like Devin Neal, right? Devin Neal is obviously really good, and I'd argue as far as non-LTDs, one of your best running backs in the game. But when you got Genty in the game, when Caleb Johnson's in the game, when you've got Garrett, when you've got all these other cards, it makes it tough. Even at the wide receiver position today, we got a new wide receiver, and I like Tez Johnson, but when you've got all the rest of these cards that are really good, who do you get? Who do you pick up? It just makes it so tough, especially since the market is still trying to figure out what it wants to do after the whole Black Friday Thanksgiving event, especially with Isaiah Bond being 125, Stephon Diggs basically being nearly non-existent on the auction house. It just makes things a really kind of a complicated situation right now in the auction house specifically. So I don't even want to say that it's a big auction house crash today. However, there are a couple of guys that if you want, today is a good day to get. Like I said, Lenore Sellers, quarterback position, a solid day to pick him up. Devin Neal at the running back position, fantastic day to pick him up. Those are a couple of guys that I really do want to highlight today, especially the Devin Neal card, because I've really liked him for a while. And for 100,000 coins, you're not going to find much better than that card. Now, if you're one where you want to, go ahead and get, a guy like Wisner, a guy like Skattebo, somebody like that, then do what you got to do. But I'm just saying, for his value, you're not going to beat the price of Devin Neal today. And you might even be able to snag him for under like 100,000 coins if you do end up sniping the right guy. So just something to kind of think about for you guys. Again, Daylen Everette, I actually really like the card. It's just tough for me to get there with all of the other cards that we do have right now in the game. Now, as far as our most recent drop, the drop that came out yesterday, where are the Nightmares players currently at? Well, they're kind of holding true. So this defensive tackle who I like is at 193. I actually currently kind of like the card, but he is pretty expensive. Now, as far as the center, he's 305. I like the card, but that, in my opinion, is just a little too expensive. Now, the left tackle, the right guards, they're not super expensive. You can pick them up if you ultimately do want to. I do like Thomas quite a bit at the cornerback position for his price. I don't think he's bad whatsoever. I actually got Jack Howell out of one of my packs out of the grind yesterday. He's okay. So I don't really mind a lot of the Nightmares players. I think they're okay. Even the tight end for his price, I don't even hate it. And I've said it before, I do believe that Fannin is the most complete tight end probably in the game. But it's just tough. Like, if you look at some of the other top tight ends in the game, and it's such a competitive position, you've got Luke Lachey, who is still an absolute beast. You got Jack Velling. You've got Trey McBride, who's faster than Fannin. So it really does make it pretty tough. Who do you want to specifically pick up? But if you get this card for a price you want to pay, you definitely could pick them up. Now, one thing I'm going to tell you guys to be a little careful of is we're going to see an overall bump sooner rather than later, right? It's been a few weeks since we saw our last overall bump, so don't expect that to be too far out. And again, what is that going to do to the auction house? I don't necessarily know. It should make a lot of these high-end players just slightly cheaper. But again, it's not something that I'm necessarily super excited about. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but I don't know if I'm super excited about it, just because like a guy like Wisner, I kind of want to pick this card up in hopes that, number one, we won't get a running back on Friday or Sunday, because then his price will go, maybe up. But number two, he's one of the best receiving backs, he's the best receiving back in the entire game. Like, if you look at this card, he's perfect as far as a receiving back out of the backfield. So again, even if you want to run like a two-back system, Wisner is absolutely perfect to fit that scheme. So I don't know. I still want to get Skattebo maybe today if his price goes down. I'd like Kamara, and if all else fails, I'll go get Devin Neal. But it's just interesting because the market, it just fluctuates so much. And I still think it's in a decent time to buy some of these cards, but I'm worried about the overall bump that's going to come to cut sooner rather than later. So if you have a lot of coins, I'd err on the side of caution, before spending a lot of your coins. Even a guy like Nick Bosa, even a guy like Cam Newton possibly. If you're not going to play the game a ton, over the course of, let's say, this next week, I'd probably err on the side of selling those cards because, again, we're going to start seeing some more big hype names. Johnny Manziel was one of them. Cam Newton just happened to outclass him by quite a wide margin. So I don't necessarily think it's a perfect time to buy, perfect time to sell. However, if you do want a guy like Devin Neal, today was your perfect day to buy him. No rush. Try to snipe him for a good value. But that is one card that is definitely on my mind today as a solid value option. Obviously, Gray, if you want him as a solid value. A lot of these Season 3 cards are solid values. Even a guy like Jack Velling, still going to be a solid value in cut. One thing, start thinking ahead towards the Rivals drop, okay? Obviously, Rivals drop. We're not too far out from it. So, start thinking about it. See if there are cards that you might specifically want to start thinking about selling for that drop. Again, Trey McBride, I still think could be the best tight end in the game. This one is 130,000 coins. And it's super tough for me to pass up on him just knowing what this card does on the field. But again, I don't know. Maybe I should try to buy him and maybe resell him. But it's hard when Jack Velling's in the game for 70K to go ahead and do that. But like I said, as far as, the rivals drop, you can start thinking ahead. Who are some cards that you maybe like? Maybe even like a Klubnik, maybe even like a Lovett, maybe even like an Armstrong that might be going for a little extra today and maximizing your coins with those type of guys. Even like a Bear Alexander. Know his price is going to go from like 83 to cheaper. Same thing with Malachi Moore, those type of guys. So start thinking ahead for that. For me, main goal today is maybe adding, a running back to the rotation, to the squad. I just don't want to have to overspend for whoever that may be. That's going to wrap it up for our video today. Let me know your thoughts on it down below in the comments, guys. Drop a like on it, subscribe if you're new, and as always, man, I love you guys. Have a blessed day.